funky.
What's up, FunkBasement? It's the one and only DJ Hustle coming at you. Hey, right now, it's time for us to get focused, to get our minds right. We just had the Democratic National Convention. On Monday, we have the Republican National Convention coming up, and we need to prepare to vote. So right now, I'm talking to all my brothers and sisters of color about voting. Hey, let me holler. So check it out, people. We got to understand that as American citizens, one of our basic rights is the right to vote. Now, I understand that a lot of us, we don't understand that right. A lot of times we don't exercise that right. But we are in a time right now where we have to exercise that right to vote. We cannot take it for granted because there are those out there that want to stop you from voting. So I've heard the argument from my brothers around the block. They say, yo, DJ Hustle, man, my vote don't matter. I'm one person. Nobody cares about my vote. You know, I voted 5 years ago. I voted 8 years. I voted 10 years ago. My vote doesn't matter. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If your vote didn't matter, why would both parties, Democratic and Republican Party, spend millions of dollars every election season to win your vote? They spend millions of dollars on commercials, millions of dollars traveling around the country to simply win your vote. They also spend millions of dollars to keep you from voting, to get you to believe your vote doesn't count. So why would you spend so much money if one person's vote didn't matter? Because your vote does matter, brother. I'm telling you, your vote counts. It counts if you don't vote, because if you don't vote, you basically voted for the other person. So we got to understand that. By not voting, you're voting for the other person. So you need to get out there and make sure we vote. But as we go into this election season, and remember, our national election is November 3rd, 2020, okay? As we go into this election season, we got to understand that we have to be prepared because there's a lot of stuff going on that's going to stop us from being able to vote. So here's the first thing that you got to understand. Are you registered? You have to be registered to vote, okay? So it's important that you are registered. And if you are registered, you make sure that there's nothing has changed to change your status of registration. So here's some things that I'm going to tell you. I got this in the mail here in California. I'm registered to vote. And so they sent me kind of my registration card. I got one, my wife got one, my daughter got one. And it gives you some tips on what to think about if things have changed between the last time you voted. So here's something to think about, okay? Have you moved? All right? Even if you're still in the same city, you moved from the west side of town to the east side of town. You need to make sure that your ballot did not go to your old address. So you need to verify that the correct address is on for you to vote. Also, I know in the city I live in and out here in California, our polling stations are based on our physical addresses, the addresses that we have as our home. So if you now live on the other side of town, your polling station may be back at your old address. So it's important if you move, we got to make sure that we get things fixed so that we are able to go vote properly. And I'm going to give you some information on where to go to get that corrected. Okay? Have you changed your name? Okay? Fellas, your wifey, you guys just get married, and now the wifey has a different last name. You know, okay? Ladies, did you get married and have a different last name? Did you get divorced and now you're back to your maiden name? Any type thing like that, you've got to verify that your registration to vote is cool because it may be coming in a different name. And one of the issues that you may run into when you go to the poll is it may not match your ballot, may not match the information that's in the book, okay? And that could slow down the process, all right? So we want to make sure if you change your name, we got to make sure we get that fixed. Do you want to change your political party? Okay. When you register to vote, you pick a political party. And so what happens is your ballot is going to be geared towards the political party you pick. So let's just say that last election, you were a Republican. So you voted for Republican. And now you've changed your mind. I don't want to vote Republican any longer. Well, it's important that you change your political party so that the ballot you get will have the Democratic candidates on it so you can vote for them. Or the ballot you're going to get is going to have the same candidates on it that are representing the Republican Party, okay? Vice versa. you were a Democrat and you're voting Republican, same thing. Okay, so it's important that you notify the registration that you've changed political party so you can get the proper ballot. Okay, so let's make sure we do that. All right, you need to update your signature. If you registered to vote, let's say when you were 18 and you just stayed registered, but now you're 49, okay, your signature has probably changed. Okay, so you should be updating your signature on a regular basis, because here's what's happened is they match signatures when you sign at the poll, okay, to when you sign your ballot. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to say some of these signatures are not valid. Okay, they're going to try to say there's fraud because the signature of the 18-year-old when he registered doesn't match his signature now that he's 25. So we want to stay on top of that. We don't want anyone trying to claim that your ballot is fraudulent. So again, if you've noticed your signature has changed, and your signature does change as you get older, let's go ahead and get that updated so we don't have any issues. All right. Do we need to update your language of preference? Okay. If for some of my brothers and sisters, if Spanish is your first language and that's your language of preference, you can get a ballot that's in Spanish. Okay. You can get a ballot that's in Chinese. Okay. You can get a ballot that's in many different languages. So it's important that if your language of preference is different, that we get that taken care of. Okay. Also, if you have your mothers, fathers, grandparents, okay, that maybe are first generation here in the United States and English is their second language, we don't want to make it hard for them to not be able to really understand the ballot because it's in English and that's not their first language. Okay, so let's help them get a ballot that's in a language that they can read so that their vote can be counted. Again, understand this, that it doesn't matter if you speak English, you speak Spanish, speak Chinese, you're an American, and it is your right to vote. And we have to make sure we exercise. Okay, so another thing that we want to make sure that we are doing is we want to understand that there's going to be a lot of misinformation put out there. Okay, a lot of misinformation put out there to try to keep us from voting. So here's one thing that's kind of a misinformation that's going out there. You're hearing some people say because of the pandemic that mail-in ballots or mail-in voting, which is something that we're going to be doing this election season, will create a lot of fraud. Okay, and that there's going to be a rampant amount of fraud because of the mail-in voting. So I've done some research, and research says that only 1%, okay, of mail-in ballots could come across as being fraudulent. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, there's been mail-in ballots for years, longer than I've been alive. So that's pretty good that only 1% of that. And I guarantee you, because of the pandemic and because of what we're dealing with right now, they're going to make sure that they're doing everything above board to try to offset any fraudulent things happening. Okay, so do not let them scare you in believing that whatever state you're in, that by mailing in your ballot, it's not going to be counted, because it is. So it's important that you get that being mailed in so that it's counted. So I went to the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. They have a pamphlet that talks about preparing to vote. So if you go to the website, again, NAACP, go to the Defense Legal and Education Fund. They have a 6-page pamphlet that you can print out that just prepares you to vote. Again, people, we got to get ready. Okay, you can't win the game if you ain't in the game. Okay, and when we got a game, we got to have a game plan, right? I'm a coach. As a coach, I never enter a game without having some game plan. I spend the week leading into this game on Friday night getting the game plan together so that I'm ready to go. So we can't go into this election season without some type of game plan. All right, so that's why it's so important. That's why I'm talking to you right now. All right, so if you have any questions about your polling location, okay, it's moved. You don't know where it is. It used to be at this elementary school down the street, and that school is not there anymore. They tore it down, or whatever the case may be. Okay, here's the phone number you call. Grab your pen and write this down. Okay, 1-866-R, that's OUR, vote, VOTE. 1-866-R vote. Okay, you can call that number and you can get information about your polling station, whatever state you live in, whatever city you live in, whatever county you live in. Okay, so make sure you do that. We take that. If you have any questions about the polling station, it's not there anymore. You've moved. You just don't know. Okay, but we don't want to do that on November 3rd. We want to do that right now. Okay, again, we're getting our game plan together. We want to do that right now so that we're ready to go. All right. So another thing that we want to make sure that we are on task for is we want to make sure that if you don't think you're registered to vote or you're not registered to vote, okay, simple. This is a website. Here's a website to go to so that you can get registered to vote. Okay. It's simply 866-OurVote.org. Okay. 866-OurVote.org. You go here, you get registered to vote. Okay. Now, I know that my local Walmart, whenever I go by there are people standing out there trying to get you to sign petitions, get signatures on petitions, and they're also registering you to vote. So again, if you're not registered to vote, or you think, I don't know, maybe I don't remember, do it. Get registered. Okay. We got to make sure that our voices are heard, and the only way our voices are heard is by us voting. Okay, we got to get in the game, people. All right. Again, you can also go there to confirm your registration. Okay, you can confirm it and make sure that you are good to go by going to that same website. All right. If you want to know what type of identification to bring, okay, every state's different. Every state has different rules and policies when it comes to identification. Okay, here in California, all you need is your ballot. Okay, you don't have to show picture ID here in California. You need your ballot to vote. In other states, you got to show picture ID. Okay, so if you're not sure, again, it's the same thing. You can call that number, the 866-OUR-VOTE. Okay, give that number a call. You can get some information about what you need in your particular state to vote. All right, and that's a hotline. So that's a hotline that you can call, and you can get some information right now. So you can call that 24 hours. Okay, 24 hours, give that call and get information right now. Okay. The other thing that we're going to make sure, because we are in a pandemic, okay, so I guarantee you at some polling stations, there's going to be requirements for face coverings, okay, and that you won't be able to get in if you don't have it, okay? So listen, people, throw a bandana in your car, put it in the glove box, okay, in the center console, so that when you get to these places, you can just put it on and you're good to go. Don't be that person. Don't be that brother that walks up to the polling station. You don't have anything over your face. They tell you, sir, I'm sorry, you can't enter without it. And then it becomes this big deal, and you're not able to vote because you didn't have a simple mask. Okay? Let's acknowledge what's going on, and let's be prepared. Again, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to try to do everything they can to stop us from voting. They don't want us to exercise this right. They don't want the people to be involved. So you've got to be involved. I'm telling you that right now. You have to be involved. We have to move this thing back towards the center. We've got to move this thing back towards the people making decisions and not simply the politicians. Okay? So we're going to make sure we vote, make sure we have our mask, make sure we're registered, make sure we're doing all those things. Now, here's the thing I'm going to tell you, and you may not know this, but there's a federal law that says that your job, your employer is required to give you sufficient amount of time to vote. Okay? So they're required. And part of that time is paid time. Okay? I know for myself, it's an hour. Okay? At my job, I can get an hour of paid time to make sure I can go vote. So I don't have to do it before work. I don't have to do it after work. I can do it within the confines of work. I don't have to do it on my lunch. So I can take lunch and then take another hour to go vote. The key thing is you got to prepare for it. So you have to tell your boss, tell management, hey, this is my game plan. Okay, I need to vote, and this is what I'm doing. Now, it's important that we kind of address this because what's happening, a lot of us are working from home. And so I know when we work from home, the rules are the same, but it's a little different because we're at home, a little more relaxed, right? So we want to make sure that we let our bosses, our managers know, hey, I'm going to be offline for this amount of time. I'm going to vote, okay? And give yourself time. In some states, I've heard there are lines sometimes that are as long as 2 to 3 hours. So give yourself some time so you can actually go and take care of business when it comes to voting. Now, here in California, we have the ability with our mail-in ballots to simply drive up to the ballot polling station and simply put our mail-in ballots into the box, the secured box. It's locked. We put it in the box. We get our little I voted sticker, and we go on about our way. Okay, so we're able to do it quick, fast, and hurt. I know in some states it's not like that. So it's important that you plan out that day. Okay, let's say you want to take the day off. I'm thinking personally for myself, I'm gonna take the day off. I really do. I think I have vacation time. I'm thinking I'm gonna take November 3rd off so I can focus to make sure that myself, my wife, my daughter, that we got our votes taken care of. And then if I need to help my parents, if I have to help my in-laws, anyone else I got to help, make sure that's taken care of. So that's what I'm doing for myself. So maybe think about that. You got some time off, put in time right now. Hey, I want to take November 3rd off so that you don't have anything that gets in the way of voting. Okay? So people, listen, I've thrown a lot of information out there to you. I know I have, okay? But this is very important. That's the reason why I'm taking a moment on the Funk Basement to share this with you, okay? We have to take responsibility for what we need to do. Understand, my brothers and sisters that are African American, understand that our ancestors were killed. They died. They were hung. They were burned. They were killed for simply trying to vote. Understand that, okay? All right? When the Civil War ended, during Reconstruction, okay, there were African Americans that voted. That right was theirs now, and they voted. And there were more African American politicians and African Americans put in positions of leadership through voting. I mean, it blew mine. And so what did they do? They turned around and they made sure that it wouldn't happen again. Okay, so they used fear, they used different tactics, right? They used to have a test that they would make you take. It was almost like a reading test and, you know, a math test just to vote, right? I mean, they would do that just to vote. They had something called a poll tax. A poll tax was you basically had to pay to vote at the poll. Okay, you bring your receipt showing you paid and you can vote. So think about this. What if they had a poll tax right now? What if the poll tax was $300? I mean, how many of us would have just $300 just around so we can vote? So think about a family, let's say a family of 4. You got mom, dad, and you got 2 teenagers that are 18, okay? And we're talking about, you know, what I said, 300. We're talking about $300 for each person. I mean, come on now, that's ridiculous, right? That's $1,200 for a family to simply vote. Now, that sounds crazy when I'm talking about it, but this is the reality of what was happening. And this was happening not more than 70 years ago, okay? I mean, sometimes even closer in certain states. So, as I've wrapped this up, I'm telling you right now, we got to vote. We got to make sure we exercise our right to take care of this business, okay? We got to take back our country, okay? You, me, and everybody else. So, if you have any questions, check out the Funk Basement channel. I'll keep putting up information for you, and you can leave us a little message down in our comment box, and we'll respond. You can also like our video and subscribe so that we can make sure we give you more information. This is your boy, DJ Hustle, the one and only. I'm out. Peace.